there's an overall look at the moss walls and the tree planted. So next I've got to get out my other two Natal ficuses that I intend on planting on the temple. So let's get those out now. The one Natal ficus is down here, and I'm 100% sure it is rooted into the gravel down here. So I'm going to try and get it out. So here I go. Wow, look at those roots. They're just wild. Yeah, it's definitely rooted into the gravel here. I just have to, oh my goodness. Wow. Whatever rooted in there. Wow. Okay, let's get it out now. Is there still another root somewhere? Yes, there's one over here. Okay, now I can get it out. So there it is. There is the second Natal ficus, and all these cuttings are from the same tree, so they should grow at a similar rate, have similar leaf size and everything like that. They're clones of the same tree. The other tree is down here. I don't think this one's rooted into the ground, but you can see the roots forming on the edges of the pot there. And how the roots grow on these. They're just fantastic growing aerial roots. Yeah, they're perfect trees for this temple planting. I'm going to bring the two new trees outside and bare root them. I don't feel like moving the temple. It's quite heavy. So yeah, we'll do this work outside, getting them bare rooted. All right, I'm going to start with this tree, trying to get it out of the pot, which might be very difficult. I think I'll have to prune the roots off the drainage holes first. They're quite thick. I think if I had left that to grow any longer, it might have broken the pot. Then I've got some roots growing over the pot, some escape roots. They're really long, so I'm going to keep them long, but just snip them off a bit shorter. And there's one here. That gets rid of that tangled mess of roots. And maybe now I can get the tree out of the pot. Yeah, no problem. This is that nice Korean pot. I had a video on repotting this tree long ago. So that's the one tree out of the pot. So I'll just set that down. And then I'll work on this tree. So this one's in a mesh basket. It has big roots circling around the pot. Okay, I'll get the root rake out now and get them bare rooted. Okay, I think that's good. It's bare rooted. I'll place it in the bucket of water and get out the second tree. All right, here's tree number 2. Not much soil down here. It's just kind of filled with the roots. This was one of these trees I was going to work on. Just never got time. So it just kind of grew its pot and developed all these escape roots. But I think, the tree hasn't suffered for it. It's grown lots of aerial roots and got a lot of character, so it was probably good for the tree in the end to have it go wild for a few years. Okay, I think that's good. I can place this one in the bucket of water also. I'm going to water the moss And then I'll try out the trees in the planting, see where I'm going to put them. And I think they'll need some pruning. I haven't pruned this tree yet, but that will be coming. All right, it's time to try and figure out a position for the other trees. Now this tree has grown really, really tall with a lot of vigor once it hit the ground. I'm quite sure I don't want it that large. And I don't really want to prune it yet until I figure out where it's going to go. So I've got two trees. This is the smaller one, the one that was in the round pot. I have one coming from ground level and maybe another one on this side of the temple. No, that looks too symmetrical. Maybe two in the ground here. Or I think I was going to have one up here. I think that would be a good idea. That way I can have the roots growing down over the entranceway. So that might be the small one goes up here. And then this one maybe in the ground beside the temple. I definitely want the roots coming down the front here, so I think this is the good tree for that. And then the other one, I mean, it could go in the background here, but I think it's better in the foreground. Something I think like that. So I'm going to prune the top off this tree. It's way too tall. I'm just trying to find a suitable spot. I'll leave it a little taller than I want. I'm going to snip this branch off here. So here I go. Like that. And then I'll reduce this one back. Like that. And I'll reduce this branch back to here. To here. And this one, I'm going to go back to here. So that gives you a better idea of what it'll look like here. Let me just step back and have a look at it all. I like that. I like the face peering out between the trees. I like the roots going over the entranceway here. And I'm trying to decide about the other tree. It looks a bit out of place, just kind of stuck in the ground over there. Maybe that's got to go closer to the temple. Maybe in that corner more. I did a little bit of root pruning and then I tucked some under the temple. So I've got that tree tucked in the corner there. So I'm going to step back and have a look at it. Here's a look at the composition. I think it's pretty good. I think if I put this far tree on top of that entranceway, it would look too symmetrical. The only other possibility is out the back, and I think that would look too distant and it would show too much of that side of the temple. I think this looks good. It looks like the temple's hidden in the jungle. Yeah, so I think I'm going to go with this arrangement. I've got a root here that doesn't flow. It comes out of the tree horizontally. So I'm going to take that one off. I already took the two big ones off there. And again, they just didn't flow. They were 90 degrees to the trunk. They didn't come down, flowing down into the soil. So the rest of the roots are looking quite good. I think that's good. I think I can start adding my moss to the second tree now. Here's a look at the area that I'll be putting the moss around the roots. So I'll get out my moss and begin the work. Get all this moss pushed in around the roots. I know I'm going to need more moss again. I'm using it up already. I always collect way more moss than I think I need, and I always end up using twice as much as I think I need. So I always end up going back and getting more moss. Never fails. Now I've got to build up a moss wall here. And I think I need to plant the second tree before I start mossing this area up, because it's all, you know, part of the same wall of moss that I'll be using. So let me get the second tree planted. I'm just going to prune a root here. So there's a branch in the way at the back here that I need to prune away. It's kind of pushing up against the temple, so that one's gone. That'll help me tuck it in the corner better. And then I've got some aerial roots at the back here I need to take off also. So I'm getting the tree positioned here in the corner. There's a branch here that's growing in towards the temple, and it blocks your view of all the roots here, so I'm going to remove that. Like that. And I'm keeping all these cuttings because I may want, you know, a few more small trees around the temple to really create that jungle atmosphere. So that allows me to get the tree very, very close to the corner now. Okay, now I've got this big, thick, horizontal root here. Again, it's a nice root, but it just doesn't flow, so I've got to take it off. Like that. And it's just got to get replaced with, you know, better flowing roots in the future. So I think that's good. I think I can add soil around this one. So I've turned that tree around. It's looking much better. It kind of follows the contour. It'll be about like that. Kind of follows the contours of the temple like the other one. So I'll get some soil and start filling this pocket in. Work that in to the roots. And the tree should stay in position. And in future, if I want to reduce this soil, I would just rake it away once all the roots are growing and the tree's growing and everything's looking good. Okay. There's tree number 3 planted. So now I've just got to build up my moss wall here, and yeah, that's kind of getting close to completion, at least for phase 1 of this. There, you know, there'll always be changes, I'm sure, in the future, but this is a good start, I think. I'm going to give the soil a water, the new soil I put in, with all my roots and everything a watering. Even the temple gets watered. Got to keep that algae and lichen nice and green on it. And then I can start applying my moss once again here. So I've got to build up a moss wall here. Okay. I'm going to start up here. These roots are arranged like that. And then start integrating the moss and the soil with the roots. And the temple. I have this big piece down here. hold everything in place. So you can see I just have a few out front here kind of hanging in midair. So I need to build up my moss wall on the corner here. And oh my goodness, am I ever running out of moss? So I'll position the roots, kind of stretching them down alongside the temple like that. And then I'll have to build up a bit of a moss wall here. And these roots, the tips are in the soil, so it's not too critical I build it up all the way. That's probably good enough for that corner. Now these ones, I'll have to build it up here and try and kind of feed it along there. I may just keep this misted and hopefully it'll extend down. I don't really want to build up, a huge chunk of moss here just for these roots. I think I can keep them alive by misting the humidity in the plant room. I think they'll do okay, so I'm going to leave them the way they are. Okay. So I've pretty well run out of moss. I mean, I have a few little tiny pieces and that's it. So I'm going to need more moss to moss up the rest of the landscape. So I will go on another moss collection trip. Should be lots of fun. Here's a look at the temple. Kind of exciting. It really looks like an ancient old temple now, especially with that moss. So I think, I would keep moss on top of these entranceways in the final planting. Yeah, it's looking pretty cool, I think. I've collected another bag of moss, so I'll give that a water, just to soften it all up, get it rehydrated. I'll finish topping up my soil, so I'm pretty good except for this area here. I got some really nice moss this time. It has a thin layer of muck on the bottom. And it's really good stuff. So this moss was growing on top of pavement. There's a layer of dust that blows on top of the pavement. And it just grows in that area. Pretty amazing. So hopefully it'll survive in this pot. I think it will. I think it'll do quite well. Here's a look at the planting now. So I do need to prune the top of the trees. They're a little wild looking to get them down a little more compact. But I'm very pleased with it. I think it's going to look really good as it ages into the future. Now the temple, it won't see freezing anymore, so I don't think I'll have any problems with it cracking or falling apart. These Natal ficuses can go down to freezing, but not below. Well, some people say they can go to -1, but that's if they're in the ground. In a pot, I wouldn't let them freeze at all. Always keep them above freezing. But they do like a cool period in the winter. So that is the temple. It's looking very, very nice, I think. I'm going to do my top pruning now, so here I go. I'll definitely prune the tip off this one. And these long extensions up here can be pruned away. So I will cut this one right here. This one, it's getting quite long. I better cut it right off. And the one sticking up also needs to be pruned back. Go to here. There's a big long crossing branch here. I'm just going to shorten it. And then there's a big long one sticking out this side, which I also need to shorten. And it's quite a long, straight, stiff looking branch. I think it needs to be hard pruned back to here. That's better. This one's also a bit long. I've got like duplicate branches here. I think the bottom one should go. Like that. This one can be shortened to here. I think that's pretty good for an initial pruning. I'll see what grows in and then tackle it once again. I'm stepping back, having a look at the trees. I think this tree needs to be reduced more. This one, it's too tall, so I'm going to take it back to here. Like that. And I'm wondering about, I've got kind of a vertical branch here and then one here that kind of cuts in. I'm just stepping back looking at them. I'm going to remove this one. I'm going to keep this one. So, here I go. Like that. I think that looks better. I'm not sure about this branch going out the back here. Again, it doesn't flow the greatest, but I'll just reduce it back. And I think maybe this one's too long. I think that one needs cutting back also. I think the one up the side is too tall, this one. I'm going to prune that one back also. I'm not sure where to, but it needs to come down to about here. I think I'll do a Hail Mary cut and reduce it back. That looks better. It's more in proportion, all the trees. Yeah, it'll be interesting when they begin to grow and leaf out. This planting will change quite a bit once it gets, a canopy above. It should look nice in the sunlight with filtered light coming down on the temple. Yeah, I'm very excited about it. It's done for today, but it's just the beginning of this planting. It's going to be exciting developing it into the future. I know the question everyone will be asking, can I lift it? That is the question. So I'm going to give it a try. Okay, how heavy is it? Let me see. Well, I can definitely lift it. It's not too bad. I mean, I wouldn't want to carry it very far, but I could certainly get it onto a cart, or two people can carry it. It's no problem. It's not too bad. I'm going to leave the temple out here in the greenhouse while the weather's warm and sunny. And when it starts cooling down, I'll get Julian to help me bring it into the plant room for the winter. Let's fly in now and have a final look at the Ta Prohm temple. I'm really going to enjoy staring at this planting and working on it over the upcoming years. I think it'll look totally different under different lighting conditions, the morning light, the afternoon light, and then towards evening. Yeah, it'll be a fun planting to develop and slowly refine into the future. So that is all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.